Hello everybody, Fantasy Sports Daily here. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to make a tier ranking. I usually make videos about teams and the fantasy value of different teams, but I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm just going to be ranking the teams based on if they're going to make the playoffs or not. So let's begin. 14 teams are going to be in these two top rows right here, and the rest will fall somewhere down here. So let's start. The Saints. The Saints, I don't think are making playoffs. They're missing playoffs, but they are promising. They have a promising offense. They have Olave. He was really hyped in fantasy too. They have Taysom Hill as well to back up the quarterback Derek Carr on some plays. I just didn't understand the hype with Derek Carr. It's not there. Running back Kamara, he missed the first 3 games. He has been pretty good these past couple of games. I don't know how far the Saints are going to go. I think they're just barely going to miss playoffs this year. Dolphins, though. I'll tell you, one of 14 teams are making the playoffs. The Miami Dolphins. I'll move on to these two teams, too, because they're making playoffs as well. Miami Dolphins, not much explanation needed. Tua Tagovailoa, he's one of the more decent quarterbacks in the league. He's a fringe QB1 in fantasy. Tyreek Hill, the best, I guess, right now, the best wide receiver in the league. That's healthy. Jefferson's on IR. I've made also Chain's on IR. I made a video just now as I'm recording this. It was a short actually that Jefferson and Chain were on IR and how to replace them. So check that out. You also have Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert. He's pretty fast, but a lot of these guys are injury prone. Not Tyreek Hill, but maybe Waddle more. Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson's on IR. He should be coming back pretty soon. For week 6, it's week 5 as I'm making this, so we already have a small sample of how these teams are going to play. I think the Dolphins should be right in that playoff mix. Same with the Baltimore Ravens. You have Lamar, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. The wide receiver core is not looking amazing, but it's looking better than last year. The running game, J.K. Dobbins didn't even make it out of week 1. But you have Gus Edwards. It's kind of the same run game as last year. Gus Edwards. Now you have Justice Hill. They should be right in that playoff mix. And you have Mark Andrews, too, who's the tight end of the Ravens. So they should be in that playoff mix, barely making it. I'll tell you a team that's struggling right now, but they will be in that playoff mix. The Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow is known for fumbling. Well, not fumbling. Is known for doing terrible at the beginning of the season, but he should be. His team should be right in that playoff mix. You have Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, I think, is hurt right now. He had like a fractured rib cage or something. You have Tyler Boyd. You have Joe Mixon. Pretty stacked team. They should be in that playoff mix with an improving defense as well. Terrible teams. We got our first one. And actually, the next one's going to be another one. We got the Denver Broncos. Terrible team. There's a lot of hype that the Denver Broncos were going to do very good. Like there is a lot. I think there was hype last year that they were going to do pretty good as well. Yeah, they're not doing good. They have Russell Wilson on their team. He's looking washed for a second straight season in a row. Maybe doing a little bit better this season. I don't know. But he's not doing that amazing. You have wide receivers. Their defense is getting worse. It got nerfed. The wide receivers, Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and you have Javonte Williams. I don't think it's enough. They are good players, but I don't think it's enough to save this Broncos team. Giants are doing terrible right now. 3 primetime games in a row. First was the Cowboys. That was a good team. Then you have the Niners, a good team, and Seahawks, also a stacked team, but worse than the previous 2 teams I mentioned. So, I don't know. The Giants don't look like they look like they're one of the worst teams in the league. And I'll tell you one team that is going to miss the playoffs. they're gonna miss playoffs, but they're not one of the worst teams in the league. They are right now, but I think they're gonna finish. I'm predicting how they will finish. The Minnesota Vikings. They're gonna win more ball games. They do have a stacked offense, but with Jefferson and IR, it might be a little bit iffy. But they'll miss the playoffs with Jefferson going on IR. But it is what it is. Um, I thought they were gonna make playoffs again this year. I was pretty much wrong. I think the Rams are also gonna miss the playoffs. Puka Nakua, you have Cooper Kupp. Matthew Stafford is having a better season in 2023 than 2022 than he did last year. He also suffered some injuries. Matthew Stafford. Cooper Kupp was out for 4 weeks. He played against the Eagles. They lost against the Eagles though. They're missing playoffs. They're still rebuilding, but it looks like they have a promising rebuilding future. Or I think they already moved past the rebuilding stage. I made a video about that. You can go check it out. But I think that they have a little bit of that they need to improve. Also, a team that I actually need to come back to the Buccaneers. Actually, no, I think they're missing playoffs because you have Baker Mayfield. He's been doing okay so far. He's been doing. Let me see, past 5 games. Let me see. Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield. Mayfield. So Mayfield is doing okay. And they're the first in the NFC South. But I don't know how long that's gonna last. The South is not really that great. Let me see. The whole South is not really that great. Where are the teams? The Falcons, the Saints. Yeah, I don't think the Falcons, the Saints, or the Panthers are making it. So you know what? Actually, one of these teams have to make it. I think they will make it, but I don't think they're gonna be not one of the worst. They're not gonna be a good team in the playoffs. They just had a bye, but they should play in week 6. They're not gonna be a good team in the playoffs. They're just a half game back of the Falcons. I think. No, they're not a half game back of the Falcons. They're a half game ahead. I don't know how it works. But anyhow, they're 3-1. The Falcons are 3-2, so they're technically first in the NFC South. So I guess this trend might continue. I thought the Saints were going to be the first in the NFC South this season, but they were again overrated. So yeah, I can't say really too much. These guys will make the playoffs for sure. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Josh Reynolds. Even with Jared Goff and his wash talk, the Lions will be fine. They'll make it. The Bears are not going to be fine. They just got their first win week 5. It was prime time versus the Commanders, which actually shocked me. Their running backs are in shambles right now because they're all injured. Deonta Foreman, I think, is not, but Khalil Herbert, Rashawn Johnson's undergoing concussion protocol, and they're all injured right now, but it really doesn't matter. Justin Fields, I mean, he has DJ Moore, but I need to see more out of this Bears offense. They're looking kind of terrible right now. Bye week team, San Francisco 49ers, first one. I'll explain why. And the AFC team is going to be a little bit biased, but I think that they will win the AFC. It's going to be close. It is a race between the Bengals, the Bills, and the Chiefs. But knowing as a Chiefs fan, I think let's get these bye week teams out of the way. I think the Chiefs will make it again. The Chiefs, I guess, I'm assuming that the Chiefs haven't played their best football yet. They're still doing pretty well, even though they haven't. They basically have a free win primetime game Thursday Night Football tonight. Then you have the 49ers, who stacked team. honestly might win the Super Bowl. You have Brock Purdy, who, you know, it's like a Madden, right out of a Madden story. Uh, Last pick of the draft, irrelevant. Don't have to say the story again. Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and you have Elijah Mitchell too, who's also pretty good. Two bye week teams are right here. These guys are making the playoffs for sure. They're still undefeated. They're not playing their best football, but they will make it. It's a good question who's gonna be a bye week team, the Eagles or the Niners. I think the Niners at this point are better than the Eagles, and I think they'll keep it up. Raiders are terrible. You have Devontae Adams. Well, but you have Garoppolo too. They're just missing playoffs. I don't think they're terrible. They have Devontae Adams, they have Jacoby Myers and Josh Jacobs, and you also have a upgrade with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. They're missing playoffs. They're not terrible though. Packers are missing. Yeah, I think they're gonna miss playoffs too. They're missing playoffs. They're not playing the best football. You had Watson basically hurt for 3 games. He was out for 3 games. Aaron Jones has missed a lot of time too. Washington is also, oof, I don't know. I think, I don't know. Let me see. Well, the fact that the Bears won against Washington, the fact that the Bears won against Washington shows that Washington is not as, they're not that great. Let's see, NFC rankings. So right now the Commanders are 2-3. Cowboys are 3-2 and 5-0 Eagles. So I doubt the Commanders are making it, and let's just leave it at that. I doubt the Commanders are making it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams making playoffs right now. I only have 6 more teams that can possibly make playoffs. This is not one of them. They're terrible. Josh Dobbs. It's not that he's terrible because he obviously has a lot of talent. You also have Connor on IR. I made a short about that just not long ago. Today, check that out. He's on IR. Then you have the wide receiver core led by Marquise Brown, Zach Ertz. Don't think it's enough to cut it. They haven't been doing too well, especially that defense has not been doing too well. They did beat the Cowboys somehow, but I don't know. Steelers, they're not making playoffs. They're gonna be better, but they're not gonna make playoffs. Mike Tomlin will figure out a way to win a lot of games, but they're not making playoffs. They're not with the terrible. Honestly, we just need to add a row below, make it purple, and not this row. Get out of here. We gotta make this row purple. There you go. Okay, moving on. So you got the Bills, playoff team. Not Bills, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, James Cook, amazing team. Falcons, terrible team. Um, Kyle Pitts is not living up to the hype. Drake London, Desmond Ritter it's all underwhelming, but Bijan Robinson on the Falcons. You have the Seahawks. Ooh, Seahawks I'm gonna have to get back to. Terrible team. The New England Patriots. They're pretty bad. Stevenson, their wide receiver core is not looking amazing. You do have Hunter Henry, who got off to a fast start, slowing down. Kendrick Bourne and Juju Smith-Schuster. Mac Jones has been struggling, and there's been talk if he's going to stay at the quarterback one position. He is. Patriots are a terrible team. They're not making playoffs. Browns. Yeah. I forgot this, by the way. I forgot this barely making a playoff team. I forgot that I even put that there. I just put a playoff team. So, so, I said at the beginning that these two rows will have all the 14 teams making playoffs. Well, these three rows will top three rows will have the teams making the playoffs. So, yeah. Let me just clarify that. Then you have the Browns. They're not going to make playoffs. They have a decent defense. Deshaun Watson, I think, has a shoulder issue right now. Chubb is out for the season. That kind of basically ended their season. Not gonna lie. Amari Cooper is a good wide receiver. Browns are just gonna fall short. Texans, they're not terrible. CJ Stroud is a better center than what is his name? I keep forgetting his name. Davis Mills. Still not making playoffs. Chargers making playoffs, barely, I think. They're not going to be the division leader. Obviously, that will be the Chiefs. Cowboys making playoffs. Jets. Ooh, that's tough. How many teams do I have right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 3 more teams can make playoffs. Colts are not, because A-Rich is hurt. And Gardner Minshew, we know what Gardner Minshew does. He's not making playoffs. But you have Zach Wilson not making playoffs. Tennessee is. AFC South. Yeah, Tennessee is not. Tennessee ain't it. I assume that these guys are gonna make playoffs barely. They're not off to a hot start right now, but I think they will win the division. It's close between the Colts and the Jaguars right now, but they're both tied. I think the Jaguars are gonna win their division. Terrible team. And then the NFC West. Where's the NFC West looking like? You have the 49ers are going to make, or obviously I think they're going to get the bye week, but it's tough if these guys are going to make it. I think these guys will make it. So, you have Metcalf, they're stacked. If Geno Smith can just repeat what he did last season for now on, the Seahawks should be good. They should make the playoffs. So I'm saying that the Seahawks are the Seahawks. That's the first team that's gonna make the playoffs. The Jaguars gonna make the playoffs. The Chargers are gonna make the playoffs. The Ravens are gonna make the playoffs, and the Buccaneers are gonna make the playoffs. They're barely making it, I think, because it's close. They're not off to a good start. If they keep it up, they might not do that well. They're not off to a great start. Let's just say that. Let me check the AFC West right now. How are the Chargers? The Chargers are second in the AFC West. They just had a bye week. I think they're barely making play. There's actually a good chance of it. They do have an underwhelming offense. I think they're in that playoff mix. The Ravens, their wide receiver core is better. They should be right in that playoff mix. Winning the division is a different story, though. I think the Bengals should win the division. The AFC South. I'm at the AFC North. Surprisingly, right now they have the Steelers as the first in their division, but I don't think that the Steelers are going to keep it up. They are getting Deontay Johnson back from the IR after the bye, but I don't know. But the Ravens should make it. The Bengals should be the number one. The Browns I don't think are making it, and that seems about right. So the Ravens are going to make it, and if there had to be a South team that made it, NFC South, Bucks. Yeah. So, and then you have the Cowboys, the Bills, the Eagles, the Lions, the Bengals, the Dolphins, 49ers, and the Chiefs. And then these guys are all making playoffs. And then these guys are not making playoffs. Because I think, let me just make sure that these guys aren't leading their division real fast. Because if they are, they might be making playoffs. These guys are not leading their division. These guys are not. These guys are not. These guys are definitely not. These guys are. Let me check real fast. The Jets. I'm pretty sure they're in the same division as the Bills. Let me see. Just gotta make sure. AFC East. Dolphins, Bills. Yeah, so Dolphins and Bills I think are making it. And the Jets are gonna miss. Colts, Texans, Browns, Commanders. I think they're gonna miss. They're gonna finish third. Packers. No, they're gonna miss. Raiders are gonna miss. The Rams are gonna miss. Vikings gonna miss. Saints are gonna miss. Yep, it looks good to me. And then you have the terrible towel, which is a totally different category of its own. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more fantasy content, especially more tier makers. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.